Some people build wonders of the world. Others build whatever this is. 1. The Crooked House of Poland. In the peaceful city of Sopota, Poland, someone apparently decided that geometry was optional. The Crooked House looks like a Salvador Dalí painting that escaped the canvas and got a building permit. Every wall bends, every window leans, and the roof looks like it's melting under the weight of regret. Locals claim it's whimsical. Tourists say it's like being drunk before noon. Inside, it's even worse. Stairs that seem to go nowhere, mirrors that warp your reflection into an abstract art exhibit, and corners that defy physics. It's meant to attract visitors, but most just stumble out dizzy and questioning their own sobriety. It's less of a building and more of an optical illusion you can accidentally trip into. Whoever designed it didn't just think outside the box. They burned the box, folded the ashes, and used them as wallpaper. 2. The Bridge to Nowhere. Alaska. In 2005, the US government decided Alaska needed a bridge. Not just any bridge, a $398 million masterpiece connecting the tiny town of Ketchikan, population roughly 2 Walmarts, to an island with 50 residents and an airport. The problem? The bridge was longer than the Golden Gate and went absolutely nowhere. Critics called it a monument to pork barrel politics. Locals called it a nice idea if you ignore math. It became so infamous that Congress actually canceled it mid-project, leaving the town with nothing but a fancy access road and a global reputation for overachieving in the category of pointless construction. Today, it stands as a shrine to what happens when ambition meets geography and loses. 3. The Beijing Fake Disneyland. In the 1990s, a group of very optimistic developers in China decided to build the largest amusement park in Asia, called Wonderland. It was supposed to be the Chinese answer to Disneyland, complete with castles, rides, and fairy tales. They built half a castle, a few turrets, and a parking lot that could host a small country. Then the funding dried up faster than the paint on Sleeping Beauty's unfinished tower. The result? A decaying fantasy kingdom where cows now graze beneath Cinderella's scaffolding. For years, it stood like a post-apocalyptic Disney movie, Snow White and the 7 bankruptcy filings. It was finally demolished in 2013, but not before becoming an Instagram hotspot for anyone who wanted to experience childhood dreams dying in high definition. It's proof that sometimes the dumbest thing you can build is hope, followed closely by a half-finished castle. 4. The London Walkie-Talkie Skyscraper. London is known for its charming old architecture, but someone clearly didn't get the memo. The Walkie-Talkie building, officially 20 Fenchurch Street, looks like a glass toaster that got too close to a campfire. The design was meant to be futuristic. Instead, it turned the city into a real-life science experiment. The curved glass facade acts like a giant magnifying glass, focusing sunlight onto the street below. For weeks, parked cars literally melted. Plastic parts warped, tiles cracked, and one unlucky Jaguar owner found his luxury car halfway to being a fondue set. Locals started calling it the Walkie Scorchy, and some even fried eggs on the sidewalk for proof. The architect's defense? It wasn't supposed to do that. No kidding. Eventually, they had to install a giant sunshade to stop the death rays. So now London has a skyscraper that cost millions and needs sunglasses to behave. It's the first building in history that tried to destroy the neighborhood with pure sunlight. 5. The Door to Nowhere. Argentina. In Buenos Aires, there's a government building that could double as a comedy sketch. On one of its upper floors, right above a busy street, sits a perfectly normal-looking door. A door that opens to absolutely nothing. No balcony, no stairs, just open air, and a guaranteed lawsuit. According to city archives, it was part of a renovation project gone horribly wrong. The plans called for a fire escape, but the contractor apparently decided to save time and stopped after installing the door itself. For decades, it's been sealed shut, but tourists still come to take photos of what locals call the minister's shortcut to heaven. It's a door that symbolizes every bad government decision ever made. Looks official, leads nowhere, and probably costs too much. If Kafka wrote architecture, this would be his masterpiece, the exit that's also an ending. 6. The Ryugyong Hotel, North Korea. North Korea's Ryugyong Hotel was supposed to be the crown jewel of Pyongyang. Instead, it's a 1,000-foot tall monument to "we started this and forgot why." Construction began in 1987 and was meant to finish in 2 years. 3 decades later, it's still unopened. At one point, the project was halted for 16 years, leaving behind a hollow concrete pyramid towering over the Capitol like a cursed monolith. It was so ugly that Western media called it the Hotel of Doom. When construction resumed, they didn't fix the inside. They just covered it with shiny glass so it looked finished from far away. The best part? North Korean state TV actually photoshopped it into cityscapes before the facade was done, pretending it was open. To this day, no one's sure if there are rooms, elevators, or just propaganda posters inside. It's the world's most expensive optical illusion, proof that sometimes the dumbest thing to build is your own myth. 7. The Winchester Mystery House, California, USA. Imagine being so rich, bored, and haunted that your solution is, let's just keep building forever. Sarah Winchester, widow of the rifle magnate, believed she was cursed by the ghosts of everyone ever shot by her husband's guns. Her psychic told her the spirits would leave her alone only if she never stopped expanding her mansion. So she did, for 38 years straight. The result is a 160-room labyrinth of stairs that lead to nowhere, doors that open into walls, and windows that face the floor. It's like living inside an M.C. Escher nightmare designed by an anxious Lego enthusiast. Workers built around the clock, some sections make no architectural sense at all. When she died, construction stopped immediately, leaving half-finished rooms and confused carpenters holding hammers mid-swing. The house now stands as a tourist attraction and a psychological case study in what happens when guilt meets unlimited money. 8. The Burj Khalifa's leaking problem, Dubai. The Burj Khalifa may be the tallest building on Earth, but even giants have plumbing issues. When it opened in 2010, it was hailed as a triumph of modern engineering, until someone asked where all the waste goes. Turns out, Dubai's sewage system couldn't handle it. The building was too tall and too new for the city's infrastructure. For years, fleets of tanker trucks lined up every night to manually haul away human waste from the skyscraper, one load at a time. Imagine being the guy who spent billions on a luxury penthouse and discovering your toilet's output takes a road trip. Engineers eventually solved it, but for a while the world's tallest building was also the world's fanciest outhouse. It's the perfect metaphor for modern hubris. Humanity reaching for the sky and forgetting where the flush goes. 9. The Montreal Olympic Stadium, Canada. In 1976, Montreal decided to show the world how to build the most advanced stadium on Earth. Instead, they accidentally built a $1.5 billion cautionary tale. The Big O, as locals sarcastically call it, was supposed to feature a retractable roof supported by the tallest inclined tower in the world. What it got was a roof that didn't retract, a tower that took 10 extra years to finish, and a price tag that took 30 years to pay off. Rain leaked in, snow collapsed sections of the roof, and the cables snapped like dental floss. For decades, the stadium became a symbol of bureaucratic disaster, a place where dreams went to collect dust. Locals now joke that the O stands for over budget, overdue, or just oh no. The only event it's really succeeded at hosting is nature, pigeons, moss, and disappointment. By the time the debt was finally paid in 2006, the world had already moved on to newer disasters. 10. The Sanji UFO Houses, Taiwan. In the 1970s, Taiwan built what was supposed to be a futuristic resort village, but instead, it looked like aliens crash-landed and gave up halfway through a renovation. The Sanji UFO houses were round, pastel-colored pods stacked like space pancakes, meant for wealthy vacationers. But from day one, everything went wrong. Construction accidents, financial chaos, and rumors of ghosts, because of course, halted the project before it ever opened. The locals said the land was cursed. Investors said the math was cursed. For years, the eerie bubble homes stood abandoned, slowly decaying into a real-life sci-fi horror set. Teenagers snuck in to film music videos, ghost hunters treated it like a sacred site, and developers quietly pretended it never happened. Eventually, the whole thing was demolished, leaving behind nothing but photos and legends. It's still the only resort where the phrase "check in and vanish forever" felt like part of the brochure. 11. The Kansas City Public Library, Bookshelf, USA. Kansas City wanted its public library to stand out, and boy, did it succeed. The parking garage of the library is designed to look like a 25-foot-tall bookshelf lined with giant book spines. It's brilliant, funny, and a little bit absurd. Locals voted on which titles should appear, resulting in a lineup that includes To Kill a Mockingbird, The Lord of the Rings, and Fahrenheit 451, all lovingly represented in steel and concrete. It's one of the few buildings where parallel parking feels like browsing literature. But here's the kicker. The books are actually hollow panels covering a regular parking structure, meaning the entire thing is a beautiful lie, a literary illusion. Visitors who expect a whimsical interior full of secret passageways and giant novels are instead greeted by cars. Still, it's one of the dumbest, most delightful architectural ideas ever. A place where your overdue fees come with free parking. 12. The Spite House, Virginia, USA. In 1830, a man in Alexandria, Virginia got so annoyed by people cutting through the alley beside his home that he built a house in it. A house in an alley. The result is a building just 7 feet wide, narrower than most couches, and 25 feet deep. Locals call it the Spite House, and it's one of the skinniest houses in America. Inside, every wall is basically a shared wall. Every room is claustrophobia with furniture. And if 2 people try to pass in the hallway, one of them has to breathe in. The owner's goal wasn't comfort. It was pure, glorious pettiness. He blocked the alley out of spite, and 2 centuries later, his little act of vengeance still stands. Today, it's worth millions, proving that in real estate, size doesn't matter, but grudge holding absolutely does. 13. The Upside Down House, Florida, USA. Leave it to Florida to take gravity as a suggestion. In Orlando, there's a tourist attraction called Wonderworks, a massive, fully furnished mansion built completely upside down. The story, according to the museum's lore, is that it was lifted into the sky by a government experiment gone wrong and dropped headfirst onto Earth. In reality, it's a science museum disguised as a migraine. Everything is flipped. Furniture on the ceiling, paintings hung upside down, chandeliers pointing at the floor. Walking inside feels like your inner ear just gave up. Kids love it, adults leave dizzy, and construction workers reportedly hated every second of building it. The entrance itself is a cracked ceiling you walk through, as if the house fell straight out of the sky. It's creative, hilarious, and a little insane. Basically, Florida's entire brand made out of concrete. 14. The Leaning Tower of Surhusen, Germany. Forget Pisa. Germany has a tower that leans even more. The church tower in Surhusen, built in the 14th century, holds the Guinness World Record for the most tilted building still standing. Why? Because someone thought building on soggy marshland was a solid plan. For centuries, the ground slowly sank while the tower stubbornly refused to fall. The result is a structure that leans at an angle of nearly 5 degrees. Basically a medieval trust exercise with gravity. Locals say it's God's miracle. Engineers say it's God's lucky guess. Tourists come from around the world to see what happens when ancient construction meets damp soil and eternal optimism. It's been reinforced now, so it won't collapse. At least not before it becomes a full metaphor for German persistence. 15. The New South China Mall, China. When it opened in 2005, the New South China Mall was hailed as the largest shopping mall on Earth. 7 million square feet of pure consumer paradise, except for one small detail: nobody came. For over a decade, 99% of the mall was empty. Escalators led to nowhere, food courts had no food, and storefronts displayed faded posters of brands that didn't even exist anymore. Locals dubbed it the Ghost Mall, a billion-dollar temple to wishful thinking. Developers had dreamed of luxury boutiques and theme parks. Instead, they got tumbleweeds and security guards with PhDs in boredom. It's slowly filling up now, but for years it stood as the world's biggest monument to retail arrogance. Proof that if you build it, they might not come, especially if it's next to a highway and surrounded by nothing but regret. 16. The Longaberger Basket Building, Ohio, USA. Nothing says corporate confidence like building your headquarters to look exactly like your product. The Longaberger Company, famous for handmade wooden baskets, decided to construct a 7-story office shaped like, yes, a giant picnic basket, complete with 2 150-ton steel handles. It was supposed to symbolize pride and craftsmanship. Instead, it looked like Paul Bunyan's lunchbox. Locals loved it, tourists adored it, and employees got tired of explaining their workplace to everyone they met. The building was beautiful on the outside, but horribly impractical inside. The curved walls made furniture impossible to fit. The roof leaked constantly, and maintenance was a nightmare. When the company went under in 2018, the building sat abandoned, like a cosmic joke about capitalism eating itself. It's now used for filming commercials and real estate tours, proving once again that America will find a way to monetize even architectural embarrassment. 17. The fake Paris. China is known for building replicas of famous landmarks, but Tianducheng takes that hobby to the next level. Built in 2007, it's a full-scale imitation of Paris, Eiffel Tower included. The developers envisioned a romantic European paradise for the wealthy elite. What they got was a ghost town with luxury apartments nobody bought and a 300-foot Eiffel Tower surrounded by empty streets. For years, the city was populated mostly by construction workers and confused tourists. Wedding photographers flocked there to fake Parisian wedding shoots, while residents complained the fountains never worked and the cafes served instant coffee. It's surreal, France without croissants, romance, or functioning plumbing. Ironically, it's now slowly filling up thanks to urban sprawl. Paris may have its charm, but Tianducheng has something even better, an Eiffel Tower with parking. 18. The Millennium Dome, London, UK. When the UK celebrated the year 2000, it did what bureaucracies do best: spend £1 billion on a giant tent nobody asked for. The Millennium Dome was supposed to be a futuristic exhibition celebrating human achievement. Instead, it became Britain's biggest indoor disappointment. The exhibits were confusing, the ticket prices were outrageous, and the building's shape, an enormous white dome with yellow spikes, made it look like a deflated circus. The public called it the Millennium Dome. Politicians tried to justify it as an inspirational experience. Translation: a billion-pound PowerPoint presentation about optimism. Years later, it was repurposed as the O2 Arena, one of London's most successful venues. So yes, the dome eventually found purpose, but only after failing harder than any other New Year's resolution in history. 19. The Ice Palace, St. Petersburg, Russia. In 1740, Russia decided winter wasn't cold enough. Empress Anna ordered her architects to build an entire palace made of ice on the frozen Neva River. Walls, furniture, even cannons, all carved from solid ice. It was both a marvel and a menace, stunning by day, freezing torture by night. The empress even forced a nobleman to marry his jester inside the icy structure as punishment for annoying her. Guests attended the wedding bundled in furs while the bride and groom shivered in matching ice beds. The palace melted months later, but the story survived as one of history's dumbest royal flexes. You can almost hear Anna saying, "Luxury? No, darling, I prefer frostbite." It remains the only architectural project in history that doubled as both art and revenge. 20. The Floating Bridge. Seattle, USA. Seattle's Lake Washington is home to the world's first floating bridge, and possibly the world's most dramatic engineering fail. In 1990, during a storm, the bridge literally sank. Not partially, completely. Down to the lake bed like a depressed cruise ship. Why? Workers had been repairing it and left the pontoons open, allowing millions of gallons of rainwater to pour in. The entire structure slowly dipped under the waves as TV crews filmed in disbelief. The bridge's designers called it an unforeseen incident. Everyone else called it Tuesday in Seattle. It was later rebuilt, but the original remains a reminder that water and concrete don't always mix, especially when the weatherman's screaming storm of the decade. 21. The Pizza Hut on the Moon. Almost USA. In 2001, Pizza Hut proudly announced the first ever space advertising campaign. Their plan: send their logo to the moon. Yes, really. The company hired a Russian space agency to project a giant Pizza Hut logo onto the lunar surface using lasers. The idea was that the image would be visible from Earth with telescopes. Engineers calculated it, then realized it would need to be the size of Texas to be visible. Too expensive, even for cheesy corporate ambition. So instead, Pizza Hut settled for putting their logo on a Russian rocket. It's the dumbest near-miss in marketing history, a project that almost turned the moon into a billboard. Somewhere, an astronaut still whispers, "Thank God for the budget cuts." 22. The Denver International Airport Conspiracy Palace, USA. If aliens ever need a vacation spot, they'll probably choose Denver. The city's airport, built in 1995, is a sprawling 53-square-mile masterpiece of weirdness. Construction went $2 billion over budget. And what did that extra money buy? A roof shaped like snowy mountains, or possibly a tent for a cult meeting. There's a giant blue horse statue outside nicknamed Blucifer, famous for glowing red eyes and literally killing its sculptor when a piece fell on him. Inside, murals depict apocalyptic scenes, gargoyles peek out of suitcases, and there are rumors of secret tunnels and bunkers beneath it. Officials insist it's all just art. Sure, because nothing says "Welcome to Colorado" like a demonic horse guarding your terminal. Conspiracy theorists claim it's a New World Order HQ. Frequent flyers just call it the most confusing layover on Earth. Either way, it's proof that sometimes the dumbest thing you can build is a mystery you can't explain. Fact 23. The Palm Islands, Dubai, UAE Dubai, wanted to prove it could defy nature. So they built an artificial island shaped like a palm tree, an engineering wonder and environmental disaster rolled into one. The Palm Jumeirah was supposed to be paradise, luxury villas, resorts, private beaches. Instead, it disrupted ocean currents, eroded the coastline, and made the water so stagnant it turned lagoon green. Each frond of the palm has million-dollar homes, squeezed so tight together that residents joke about being able to borrow sugar through the window. Maintenance costs are astronomical, and property values have sunk faster than the sand they were built on. Yet developers keep building more, because when you've already created a giant real estate sandcastle in the sea, what's one more? It's the perfect monument to human ego, a palm tree that looks great from space and smells weird up close. 24. The Empty Skyscraper, Caracas, Venezuela. In Caracas stands the Tower of David, a 45-story skyscraper that was never finished. It was supposed to be a financial center. Instead, it became the world's tallest vertical slum. Construction stopped in 1994 after an economic crash, leaving behind a glass shell of concrete floors, no elevators, and unfinished walls. Years later, squatters moved in and turned the ghost tower into a self-contained city with shops, gyms, and even barbershops, all powered by car batteries and improvised wiring. It was chaotic but weirdly functional, a post-apocalyptic high-rise society straight out of Mad Max, the condo edition. Authorities eventually evacuated it, claiming safety reasons, which is bureaucratic for, "We have no idea how this still stands." The Tower of David remains an icon of ambition meeting collapse, literally. Proof that capitalism and gravity sometimes fail at the exact same time. 25. The Great Wall of Me, Turkey. In the early 2000s, a Turkish businessman decided his seaside villa needed privacy. Normal people build fences. He built a wall so massive that it blocked the entire village's ocean view. Locals nicknamed it the Great Wall of Me, and they were not amused. Protests erupted, lawsuits followed, and the man argued he was protecting his peace. The irony? The wall caused more chaos than any neighbor ever had. It divided the town like a Cold War relic, driving tourism into the ground. Eventually, authorities forced him to tear it down, but not before it became a meme-worthy symbol of rich person logic. Spend millions to live by the sea, then build a wall so tall you can't see it. If arrogance were an architectural style, this would be its Taj Mahal. 26. The Big Pineapple, Australia. Australia is famous for wildlife that can kill you, and roadside attractions that just confuse you. Enter the Big Pineapple, a 52-foot-tall fiberglass fruit standing proudly in Queensland. Built in 1971, it was meant to celebrate the region's pineapple industry. What it became was a sun-faded shrine to kitsch. Inside, you can climb to the top for panoramic views of nearby farms, or stare into the hollow eyes of a fruit mascot that hasn't blinked since the 70s. At one point, the structure caught fire, because apparently giant fake pineapples are flammable. It's been restored multiple times, repainted, and now serves as a venue for music festivals, because nothing says rock and roll like performing inside agricultural propaganda. It's absurd, beloved, and oddly iconic, a reminder that not everything big is smart, but it is memorable. 27. The Colossal Statue of the Peasant King, Poland. Poland's town of Świebodzin proudly hosts a 108-foot statue of Jesus called Christ the King. It's taller than Rio's Christ the Redeemer, and infinitely pettier. Built in 2010 by a local priest, it was funded through donations and divine stubbornness. The goal? To outdo Brazil. The result? A giant plaster savior with a golden crown, standing on a mound of dirt to squeeze out a few extra feet for the record books. Locals debated its aesthetics. Critics called it wholly overcompensation. Construction nearly stopped multiple times, but the priest declared divine will would see it finished, and it was. Today, it dominates the skyline, arms outstretched in a pose that seems to say, "Take that, Rio." It's both impressive and ridiculous, a towering example of faith meeting friendly rivalry and proving that even holiness can't resist a little one-upmanship. From melting skyscrapers to ghost malls and mutant pineapples, humanity never fails to confuse its own blueprints. Every one of these projects started as a dream and ended as a cautionary tale. So tell me, if you could visit just one of these architectural disasters, which would it be? The door to nowhere or the airport to the apocalypse? Drop your pick in the comments. Let's see who's brave enough to buy a ticket.